And have you ever seen a start quite like that when one player sort of dominates so much with that? Like, what was that, like a
Not like that.
run?
Yeah, no. Yeah, you know what? She almost did that last year against Kentucky. Very similar, but not that many in a row, and not that many different people finding her. You know, Kelsey finds her a couple times, Natalie finds her, Ari finds her. Everybody just realized this is Chantel takeover mode. Keep feeding her, and you know we know that Colorado is spurty. You know, they're going to come back, and they, after that short brief large margin, they closed it back to a 2-point game by the end of the quarter. But I thought she got us off to a good start.
Did they do anything in particular that first half to make things difficult for Plum?
They really played in her space, you know. And I thought they as soon as Chantel would screen, they would double her, you know. And she made the right read. She threw it back to Chantel for open shots, and we threw it inside. So, you know, Kelsey makes the defense wrong. There's a lot of things we can control, but how they decide to guard us, we can't. So I thought she made the right reads and got us going. And then once Chantel got going, they realized it was, you know, you're going to have to go back to playing head up. And then that's when Ari got going, and that's when Natalie got going, and Kelsey gets going late. So.
What was the key to stretching the lead out in the second half? I mean, it seemed like they played you pretty tight, especially in the first quarter, obviously. Yeah. Even in the second quarter to an extent. And then all of a sudden, you know, you look up and it's a 30-point game.
Transition defense we got better in transition defense. I thought we took a few shots. Sometimes when you make a lot of shots early, you kind of have those heat check moments, and everybody thinks everybody's going to be on tonight because one person's on. So I thought that led to a few runouts. But once we cleaned up transition defense, we really did a good job. Coach Schaefer really had these guys locked down scouting report wise. And then our white squad guys, our men's practice team for the last 2 days, has done a great job simulating Colorado. And they're a hard matchup because they went little on us after they got in some foul trouble. And that, you know, it's hard for our post players to be chasing those kids around. But cleaned up transition and really buckled down the half court.
Coach, a lot of your players have talked about how much fun they have on the court. I'm thinking of a moment in the fourth quarter, Kelsey and Chantel both go for the same rebound, and Chantel gives Kelsey that look. Is that the soul of your team there?
Yeah.
Kind of boiled down to that moment?
Yeah, it's and if you can't play that way, then you're not going to work for us. You have to have some fun playing this game, and they practice that way, so I'll let them play that way too. If I all of a sudden start changing that, then our culture's fake. I mean, that word's been thrown around media a lot lately. I don't want to have a fake culture. I don't want to have a fake anything. If you go back and you look at video and you watch these kids you can't fake that stuff. That stuff's genuine and it's authentic. And it's something we talked about in shoot around today, was make sure we are authentic all game long, and I thought we were. That's happened more than once this year, by the way. That one got caught on camera. They were both kind of smiling, but Chantel, the ball's around her, she wants to rebound. And that's what makes her. That's why she ends up with 20, because she wants every one of them.
Her 24 and 20 performance. I mean, if you had to rank that, just even this season, just how does that fall?
5 assists too, and right decisions, a couple of block shots, got her hands on some ball screen stuff, got us in the right ball screen. Plays, you know, the first 36 minutes of the game without a sub. It's a small encapsulation of who the kid has become and what she's made herself into. There's a lot of people with our strength and conditioning, but she's done this. And I think it's great that as the season winds down, people get a chance to see it all come together and culminate a great career in a great performance like that. I'm telling you, I'm going to go back and start looking. Me and Tracy got a project tomorrow, Tracy. I'm just telling you right now in front of the media. I'm going to go back and look at people who have led the country in rebounding to see how many of those kids have ever made a three, much less how many Chantel's made, or how many assists they have in their career. I'm going to bet those numbers are going to be pretty low. That a kid can lead the country in rebounding, go 3 for 6 from the three-point line, and dish out 5 assists. May not have ever been a player like that. I don't know.
How much pride do you take defensively, holding them to under 10 points in 2 of the 4 quarters?
And 25% for the game, a lot. That's the thing we kept talking about. I went in and I erased all the offensive stuff off the pregame board and said, I don't care about that. Our offense is going to be fine. Lock in, and for them to respond and take pride in that, and really, this is an explosive offensive team in Colorado. They've scored 35 points in a quarter on us last year. In 1 quarter, they had 35. So to look and see no 3 quarters add up to that, well, I guess if you add the 3 quarters together, it's close, but that's a good effort. It means our preparation was good. It means our focus was good, and then that we played well.
You know, they made those two, obviously the run in the first quarter after the early, and then they made a little flurry in the middle of the second, but you never really let them get into sync, did you?
Well, and that's key against these guys because they can go on those big runs, big runs. It felt like if they made a couple in a row, and we call them bingos. If a team scores on us 3 times in a row, we call that a bingo, and I usually sub. That's an automatic sub. If you're on a team that gives up 3 straight baskets, somebody's coming out. And twice they had chances to kind of do that, and we would always get a stop. So I think that was a huge key, and that's a good job noticing that. I hope when I go back and look at it, I hope there's more of those. But I can think of 2 off the top of my head.
How important is it for you guys to find that third score?
Well, I think that's when we become multidimensional. You know, I think that's when we go from being able to win certain games to being able to beat anybody. You know, I think with 2, there's only certain games you're going to win like that. I think with a third score, a third threat, then now you can put anybody out there, and we have the potential to come out on the good end of that. So finding the third, finding a fourth, and everybody just, again, continuing to do what they do, which this group tonight really did a good job of that.
Was there any consideration pulling Plum after she picked up her second foul early in the second quarter?
She wouldn't have come out if I tried. I don't think there was none. We've been in that situation. And all you do is point out to her that she's got it, and you make a defensive adjustment. We put her on somebody different. They immediately tried to start getting her in fouls, but she's too heady. She knows how to play through that. If she'd gotten the third, I would have, but not. She's got to get 3 or 2 really early ones. She's too crafty, and we can run actions where she doesn't drive it. Normally, if she gets that second one, I know she's not going to get it defensively because she's just not going to foul. I've got to make sure I don't put her in a situation to pick up an offensive foul, which is kind of what we did there.
How important is this last weekend? Obviously, you got conference tournament coming up, just to make sure you guys are not letting off the gas.
Yeah.
Make sure you're playing your best ball going into next week.
Well, I think it's because it's what we did last year. I think the big picture of it is they know that this time last year is when we really started our upward trajectory. We played really good the last 2 weeks of the season. And if we have a letdown this year, I think they're going to go back and go, hey, we didn't do this last year, and look what we did. So I think it's very important for that reason that they remember those feelings. They remember how we kept focused in that long week, because now we're playing Thursday, Saturday. We have an extra day off, that we don't rest on whatever we wanted to rest on, getting a bye. If all of a sudden we start thinking we're pretty good because we got a bye, or we don't have to play on Thursday, if any of that enters into our head, then it's going to look back on what last year was like, and I think we're going to have to do some convincing. I don't want them to have to do it. I know they don't want to have to do that. The seniors aren't letting it happen. We had a little bit of moment in the practice yesterday, and the seniors, the upperclassmen said, no, that's not what we do.